We are here at the Evansville Wartime Museum today with William Baumholzer, and he is a World War II and Korean War veteran. And Mr. Baumholzer, can you tell us where you were born and how old you are and a little about where you grew up?
Well, I was born right out here at McCussonville in 1926, and I grew up down here off of Burkhart Road, and I was an old farm boy, farm boy, milking cows when I was little, and the draft during the war was my next step. So I told my mom and dad, I said, well, I don't want to, they was going to drop a draft from 18 to 17 and a half that time. And I said, I ain't gonna sleep in no foxhole. So I said, you have to sign for me. And I joined the Navy in 1944. And lived through the war, and then after the war, which I was stationed on the aircraft carrier, and we was going to go around because the ship was too big to go through the canal. And so we flew all of our planes off, went to Norfolk, welded bunks 7 deep, all through the hangar deck, about 3,000 bunks. And then we started hauling troops from Southampton, England, and Naples, Italy. And well, and then they got done with that, and they put the ship in no mothballs, and I took my discharge and was out 4 years. And when Korea broke out, well, then they called me back in to learn a Korea deal, which I think the oldest one I know of that got discharged from 2 places. And spent during the Korean War up in on the DE in Chicago on a training ship, and did that for about 2.5 years, and then got out and been home now ever since.
Where did you do your training when you first went into the Navy?
Great Lakes, Great Lakes.
And then from Great Lakes, where did you go like immediately after your training?
They signed me to this carrier, and which it wasn't ready for it. And so I went into Newport, Rhode Island, and then was in there till May about the 14th, 15th, when they commissioned the ship. And I'm what they call one of the plank owners, and because from then on, well, that's when we went and had converted it back in, kind of like a troop ship. All troops back from England and from Naples, Italy. And,
So where were you at the time they dropped the bomb?
we was on what you call shakedown, and we was going around down around Africa, go back to the Pacific, because our captain, he was, and his wife was in Pearl Harbor when it was bombed, and his wife got killed. And he says, God dog, he can't go now. So, and that's when we went into, flew our planes off and started bringing troops back.
And how many trips did you make bringing troops back?
We made 2 out of Southampton, England, and 2, I believe, is kind of, because the second one, they dropped it, and they quit. They got them all that they wanted to get out. So anyhow, we had 2 trips for each place, and we battled a storm one night, the first night coming back from England, and we beat the Queen Mary's wreck, and took took us 8 hours, 4 days, 8 hours, and 51 minutes across the Atlantic with that big ship
Yeah.
at that time.
Yeah, you were making good time.
Yeah.
So the troops slept on the deck then?
Yeah.
So you didn't encounter any weather while you had troops sleeping on deck?
No, they was all on the hangar deck.
Yeah, oh, okay.
It was all covered.
Gotcha, I understand.
Yeah.
So then, after you finished bringing back troops there at the end of World War II, then you were discharged?
Yeah, I took my discharge, and because they put the carrier in mothballs, and that's when I cut out in 46.
Okay, give us the name of your aircraft carrier.
Lake Champlain.
And then was it ever used again after that?
Yeah, and when I was got called back in during Korea, why I heard, read it. Lake Champlain picked up the first astronaut out there.
Gotcha.
And it went through all through Korea, Vietnam, and then it got transferred over on the East Coast, and then they sold it for steel and cut it all up.
So then after you got to come back home, then after you were discharged, you probably thought you were finished with
Yeah.
the Navy. And then how many years was it before they called you back?
4 years, yeah. I got called back in then in 1950. Yeah.
And you were on what type of ship?
Well, DE, destroyer escort,
Okay.
and we had a total of 7 ships floating around in them lakes at that time. And at DE, our home port was Chicago. And each ship had a different home port. And we take a bunch the reserves out, and that weekend we might hit Detroit. Okay. That way, and give the reserves leave and for the weekend, and then we come back in to play around the lakes, and then back in, unload, pick up another load. Here we go again. Then we might hit Saginaw, Michigan. Ours, and we did that for about 2.5 years. We got into Canada. We went to the locks in Sault Ste. Marie, and so that put us over out of the country, so we could draw sea pay, and so we got a sea pay.
There you go.
Yeah.
They were thinking.
Yeah, yeah,
So you spent a lot of time on ships there then,
Yeah.
Between World War II and Korea.
yeah.
And then when you were discharged after during the Korean War, you came back to Evansville.
Came back to Evansville, went helped my dad build houses, and then went to a company, Lensing Wholesale, and drove a truck in for almost 37 years, and I drove long hauls all over the country for them.
Cool. Well, we sure thank you for your service. And is there anything else you'd like to tell us about your time during the service, or before or afterwards?
Well, that's about it, I guess. And, I enjoyed it all. It was kind of young and wild between 46 and 50, and flew airplanes here, private planes. And I got called back in, and I dropped all that. But I was married 70, 71 years.
Oh, cool.
And I did my share, I guess you'd call it, whatever it is.
You did.
And
You certainly did.
if I was able, young enough, I'd do it again.
Great. Well, thank you very much, and we appreciate your time, and we thank you again for your service to our country, and it's been an honor to talk to you today.
Well, thank you, sir.